Hello, guys. So, today I'm going to speak about the mostly spoken database of these days, and that's MongoDB. So, I've actually split the introduction into two parts, a part one and part two, just because I wanted to deal in depth, not in depth actually, on a high level about NoSQL databases before I jump on to the actual part of MongoDB. So part one, I'll be dealing about NoSQL databases, and in the part two, I'll speak about MongoDB. So let's start. The first thing is MongoDB is a NoSQL database. So I'm sure 90% of guys here who are here to watch this video would be aware of this fact that MongoDB is a NoSQL database. So that's what I'm going to deal about in this part of the introduction. Basically, what a NoSQL database is, the types of NoSQL databases, their advantages and disadvantages. So, what is a NoSQL database? So, as the name suggests, we all are aware of what a SQL database is, right? A structured query language, right? Or a relational database. That's SQL is a relational database, right? So, we all are aware of what a SQL is. So now, what NoSQL stands for is that it's not SQL. As simple as that, right? So, in a SQL database, what we actually have is it's all structured, right? Like you have a table has so and so number of columns, each column designated for each purpose, and then you have rows and basically items in those tables. Whereas in NoSQL database, you really don't have a table. Like there's no structure at all. You can write different kinds of structures within a same collection. So we'll go in depth what a collection and stuff is all about. So before that, let's go through NoSQL part first. So what NoSQL exactly is? It's a database which doesn't have a structure. So I think that understanding is pretty much enough as of now. And once we dive in and you guys get to see the NoSQL structure, you'll get to know what I'm speaking about. So another thing I wanted to stress here is that a NoSQL database is also known as a non-relational database. So you guys might be aware that SQL database is basically a relational database, right? We call RDBMS, right? So a non-SQL database is also known as non-relational databases. So the next thing I want to speak about is the types of NoSQL databases. So actually, I've just listed four kinds of databases here. If you go in depth, you'll find even more. So these four which I've listed here are the ones which are majorly used. So the first one is a document database. A document database is the most common NoSQL database in the sense what it does is each key, so basically SQL data, NoSQL databases have a key value pair. So that's you have key value pairs in that. So in a document database, each key has a complex data structure in the sense that each key can contain just a key value pair. It can be just a key and a value, or it can be a key that contains an array of values, or a key can contain a key can contain another document itself. So that is what a document databases is. So those kind of databases which have this complex data structure, that is a document database. Going to the next kind of database, which is a graph stores database. This kind of database is mostly used in social sites, etc. Like suppose let's take the example of Facebook. And a good example of a graph store database is a database from Facebook itself, which is called Neo4j. So it basically have makes that network of data. So it just connects the data and forms a network. So like on Facebook, you have so many people, each people connected to different people and lot of messed up data, right? So graph data simplifies that stuff for you. by providing a network by networking these data actually. So it just shows a networked data, like all the people and how they are networked to each other. So that's in a nutshell about the graph stores database. And as I mentioned, one example of graph store database is Neo4j. So the next one is a key value stores. So this is the simplest kind of NoSQL database available, in which, so I've been speaking about document databases, right? So document databases has a complex structure, whereas key value stores is the simplest database, wherein it just has a key or an attribute and its value. So it's just one key and its value, and its value is just gonna be simple value. That's what a key value store is about. So the next one is wide column database, wide column stores. So wide column stores are optimized for queries over large data sets. Say it stores columns of data together instead of rows. So that's about the kind of NoSQL databases, the four kinds of databases. And the next thing I want to speak about is why to use a NoSQL database. So this question is definitely going to pop up in your mind. Why do you need to use a NoSQL database when we already know much about a SQL database, right? You know how to write queries in SQL and all those things. And why do you want to switch to NoSQL database? So speaking about this, NoSQL databases is much more scalable and the performance is much more better than a SQL database. And the second thing is it support structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. So it's whatever you want to do, however you want to structure the data, you can use NoSQL and do that. So that's a big plus point of NoSQL databases. And the next one is horizontal scalability. So SQL databases are vertically scalable in the sense if you want to scale a SQL database, a structured query database, what you need to do is you need to increase the hardware. You need to increase its RAM, its memory, and all those things to scale a SQL database. Whereas in a NoSQL database, which is horizontally scalable, which means that you can scale the database by increasing the database servers in the pool of resources. So you just increase the database servers and they'll start sharing the load, and hence by reducing the load on the server, on the uh, database. Another good thing about a NoSQL database is its open source availability and low cost. So there are a lot of open source NoSQL databases. So there are a lot of companies which choose to go with the open source NoSQL, and then when they are ready to hit production and stuff, they get an enterprise version of it. So there's a lot of open source availability when it comes to NoSQL database. And speaking about low cost, SQL databases requires data database admin and all those things, which is not required for a NoSQL database. So that's it about the advantages of NoSQL database. Next, when you get to know about its advantages, you also need to know what are the downsides of it. That's very important when you want to choose the right product for your application. So few disadvantages of NoSQL databases is that the first thing being it's less mature, uh, which means that it's still new to the market. There's still a lot of things going on about NoSQL databases, which makes it less mature in the market. So that is one disadvantage of NoSQL database. And the next one is that it has less support. So since that it's new to market, there are very few people who have actually full-on experience on a NoSQL database. So these first 2 points are things that are gonna change, by time. Things are gonna get better, and you might not find these in disadvantages anymore, maybe in a couple of years. So the next one is integrating analytics and business intelligence. So a lot of the tools which are available right now uh, doesn't support a NoSQL database. So when we speak about a database, it's not just about the crude operations. It's just not about read, write, update, and delete, right? So for a business, the data is very important to get their analytics. So those things is very important in a business, and NoSQL has less support in terms of analytics and business intelligence. The next thing is administration. So though I said in the previous slide when I was speaking about the advantages that you don't need a database admin to work on a NoSQL database, but still there is a level of administration that is required in terms of getting your servers set up and all those initial work. So there is still an administration that is required for NoSQL databases. So that's all about the disadvantages of NoSQL database. So that's it for this session. I hope you guys continue watching, and we'll speak more about MongoDB in the next session. So if you like the video, please do click on the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.